What's up you guys, it's Amanda, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made this DIY crochet strapless top. It's a strapless tube top, and honestly this is my favorite piece that I've made so far ever. I love it how it fits. I love that it's so functional because I added the elastic here so it's stretchy and it fits just right. It doesn't fall down, and it was very simple to make. So I hope you guys like it, and if you do, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more DIYs. I just actually made this DIY halter top, the bikini, along with the bottoms. So if you guys want to see stuff like that, check out my channel, subscribe, and if you have any questions along the way as you're making this top, please leave your comments below and let's get started with the tutorial. So what you'll need for this DIY crochet crop top are crochet hooks. I used 3 different sizes. You'll need some yarn, and I did the estimate for about how much you'll need for each size. You'll also need about 1 meter of elastic cord and a yarn needle. And if you want more details in the brands that I use, you can check the description. I'll have everything listed there. To give you a quick breakdown, we'll be creating this top in 3 different steps. The first step is the ribbed band. So we'll be making a long ribbed strip that's going to go around the waist. Step 2 is the body, which we'll be adding to the band and just building it all the way up until the desired height. And then the last step is to connect the sides in the back and add the elastic band to the top. So now that you have an idea of how we're going to go about it, let's get into the details. So to get started, you're going to crochet 12 chains, and this is going to be the width of the band. And for the entire band, you're going to use the 3.75mm hook. Once you get to 12, you're going to crochet 1 more chain, count back 3 chains, and then do a single crochet. If you don't know what a single crochet is, it's really easy. You just insert your hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn, you'll have 2 loops, grab the yarn again, and pull it through both loops. And we're just going to continue to single crochet until we get to the end of the row. To get the next row started, we're going to crochet 2 chains, flip it over, then we're going to do something called a front post stitch. And how you do it is insert your hook into the very first stitch, bring it behind what you call the post into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull it through the way that you came. Then you'll have 2 loops, grab the yarn again and pull it through both. Now the trick about this stitch is that you're starting it where you ended the last stitch. So I'll break it down one more time. Insert your hook into the stitch where you just ended, bring it behind the post into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull it behind the post, then you'll have 2 loops, and then grab the yarn again and pull it through both. And continue this front post stitch for the entire row. When you get to the end, make sure that you count that you have 12 front post stitches. It's easy to miss the last one, and if you do, your work is going to start decreasing and you're going to wonder why, and it's because you missed the last stitch. So make sure that you get that last stitch. Then we're going to start the next row off with 2 chains, flip it around, and then you're going to do this row the exact same way that you did the previous one. So just continue adding rows in the same way, repeat the process, and as you do, you're going to notice a ribbing effect that's going to start to form, and that's exactly what you want. Now to get the right length for your ribbed band, you want to measure around the area of your body that you want it to sit. So I want mine to be a crop top, so it's going to sit right below my waistline, like right at my belly button. So I'm measuring right around that area. And the measurement you get is how long you want your ribbed band to be. So just continue until you get to that length. So once you get to that length, it should start to look like this, just a long ribbed strip. Now one thing that you want to make sure of is that the number of rows that you have is an even number. And the reason is because when we build the body, the stitch that we're using requires an even number of rows. And this is where we're going to change out our smaller hook for the larger 5mm hook. So to start the first row, I'm just going to crochet 1 chain, and then I'm going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. And then I'm going to alternate into a single crochet and then a double crochet and then a single crochet, and then continue alternating just back and forth between double crochets and single crochets. And this is called an up and down stitch. And if you want to keep it simple, you don't have to use this stitch. You can just do the whole thing of single crochets or of double crochets. You don't have to alternate, it's completely up to you. Personally, I really like the up and down stitch because it gives it like this indistinct texture that I really like. But like I said, it's up to you guys what stitch you decide to use. Now to end the row, if you are doing the up and down stitch, you're going to end with a double crochet. And you're going to do that for every single row. You're always going to end with a double crochet. And that's the reason why on the band we had to do an even number of rows. And you're always going to start your row with one chain, which will act as a single crochet. So you always start with one chain and you always end with a double crochet. So one more time I'm going to show you how to start the row. We already did one chain before we flipped it over, and then double crochet, and then single crochet, and just keep on alternating throughout the entire row. So that is the basis of the body. No matter what stitch you're using, you're just going to continue adding rows on rows on rows until you get to the desired length that you want for the top. And to get our length, we first have to figure out where it's going to sit on the top. So I'm just going to take the elastic and bring it across my chest, and I'm going to tie it where I want the top to be. But I'm going to tie it tight enough where it's not going to fall down. It's going to be nice and snug, but also loose enough where I can take off the top and not have any issues trying to get it off. And when you tie it, make sure you leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches loose on the ends. And before you cut the excess off, make sure you can get it on and off without having too much trouble. Then once it's a size that works, then you can cut the excess off. So now that we have the elastic and we know where it's going to sit, we can measure from the top down to the length that we want. And using that measurement, you're going to continue to add rows until you get to that length. This is what mine looks like. I'm going to fold it over, and in the very last stitch, I'm going to crochet 2 more chains, cut the yarn, and pull it through. That's going to secure a tight knot so then we can start to connect the sides. To connect it, I'm going to flip it over as it's folded. Make sure that the sides are overlapped. We're going to start from the bottom where the band is all the way to the top. So I'm going to tie a loop around my hook. And for this part, I changed out my hook for the 3.75mm hook. We're going to go to the very bottom where the band is, and we're going to stick our hook into the very first stitch of both layers. And then we're going to do a slip stitch, which is just slipping the loop on the hook and pulling the yarn through the loop and through both of the layers. Then crochet a single chain and then single crochet into the next stitch, and continue to single crochet until the whole thing is connected. And once you get to the end, you're going to single crochet into the very last stitch, and that's going to complete your seam. So it'll look like this, and this seam is going to go on the inside of your top. So it's not going to be showing, so just flip it inside towards the back, and then we're going to add the elastic to the top. Using the elastic band that we measured and tied up earlier, we're going to fold it in half and mark the midway point. And we're going to do this because we want the whole top to have the same amount of stretch all the way around. So we're going to be lining up the midpoints of the top and the elastic. To add the elastic, we're going to use the 2.25mm hook, the smallest of the three. And then we're going to take our elastic and we're going to line up the knot to the seam. And then the midpoint that you marked on the elastic is just going to be a reference for you, so that when you're crocheting and you hit the midpoint on the top, then you can see that the two line up together. Don't worry too much about this part, you'll see it as you go, and even if they don't line up exactly, it'll still look good and you'll be able to adjust it as you go. But it is helpful to have that midpoint as a guide. For this next part, we're going to place the elastic in between the yarn and our hook. And that's because we're going to hide the elastic with single crochets. So we're going to single crochet all around the top and you're not going to be able to see the elastic. So we're going to start off with one chain, tuck in the ends of the elastic, then we're going to start to single crochet over those ends. And what I do to make sure that the elastic is fully hidden is I single crochet twice into the same stitch. Now this first part can be a little bit awkward because the ends are like trying to stick out, but as soon as you get a couple, like 2 or 3 stitches over it, then it's much easier after that. Once you get over those ends, it's a breeze, it's so much easier, and so you'll just continue to single crochet twice into each stitch. And as you're crocheting about every 2 or 3 inches, you're going to pull on the elastic just a little bit as you go. And that will scrunch up the stitches just a little bit. And you have to do that because the elastic is much smaller than the actual top, so as you're going, you're going to run out of elastic if you don't continue pulling on it as you go. So once you've crocheted all around the top, you've covered pretty much all of the elastic and you're back at where you started. We're going to finish the last couple stitches and then turn it to the inside, and this is where we're going to finish it off. So insert your hook into the very first stitch that you did, the one right next to your current stitch. And we're going to use a slip stitch to connect the two. So slip your hook into your loop and bring it through that stitch. Then crochet 2 chains, cut the yarn, pull it through, and push down on the knot so it's really secure. And if you see the ends of the elastic peeking through, everything's secure, so you can just trim it off. And the very last thing that I'm going to do is just clean everything up and hide all of the loose ends of yarn. So I'm going to take my yarn needle and feed the loose ends of yarn into the needle. And then we're going to hide those loose ends by just slipping the needle through the seam or any stitches that are like close by that are really tight, and that will keep all the loose ends like secure. So once you've got like a good 2 inches in there, then you can just cut off the rest. And then just repeat this process with the rest of the loose ends, and that's it, you guys. It's complete, it's done, and ready to wear. So that wraps up the DIY. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more DIYs. Like I mentioned before, I just made this halter top, this bikini top, and some bikini bottoms with the elastic also. So go check out my channel, subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I do try to get back to every single one of you guys. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you and the fact that you're watching this video, that you're on my channel right now. I encourage you guys just to keep making things and do what makes your soul happy. You have something really special and unique to share with the world. And I mean that, and I believe that with everything I am. So I hope you guys continue to create. I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope you have a wonderful day.